Howdy folks, I'm Edgy Eggnog, eagerly egging on expressive egrets.
I'm Amber.
And here are more expressive egrets for us to egg on, though I'm not sure why we're egging them on. Aren't egrets like something you wouldn't want to egg on?
I don't know.
Let's get started. Unlike the Reddit people, we'll egg them on. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a jerk for hiding my boyfriend's dead dad's heirlooms? Am I the jerk for hiding my boyfriend's dead dad's bird heirlooms in the house that we share together? I'm a 27-year-old female and my boyfriend is a 32-year-old male, and we recently moved in together after dating for 8 months. I know that seems early, but given rent and our schedules, it just made sense. He owns the house, which he inherited from his father who passed away last year. The house has all of his dad's old furniture, art, knickknacks, and while they're not horrible in quality, they're really not my style. The plaid wallpaper is a bit overwhelming, but my real issue is that there are a shocking number of ducks, bird sculptures, a coat rack with birds carved in them, bird paintings, etc. Honestly, it's a lot of birds, and I really want to make this our home, but it feels like I'm living in his dead dad's bird mind palace. We've spoken about getting new furniture and redecorating the house, but every time I so much as mention the birds, he completely shuts down. I understand that he might have sentimental value here, but he has never told me about his dad's bird obsession before, and I am really struggling to understand why these birds are so important. I mean, I'm willing to keep a few select birds for sentimental sake, but the sheer number of birds is currently ridiculous. Well, last week I removed one of the less conspicuous birds and I hid it in the basement to see if he would notice or care. He didn't say anything, so the next day I took another. I have now hidden 7 birds, and yesterday he finally confronted me about it. I came clean, but said that if it took him this long to notice, then why does it matter so much if we keep them at all? He started yelling about how heartless I am and how I was debasing his dad's memory. So that I could understand better, I asked him straight up, what's so special about these birds? And he said, if you can't get that now, you never will. We haven't spoken since last night. I don't want the birds getting in the way of our relationship, but I really don't want them in my home. I think that I am the jerk for hiding the birds instead of talking to him about it. I also think that maybe I forgot something about his dad, which makes me even a bigger jerk. Am I the jerk for hiding them? All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are the jerk. You and your partner need to communicate like adults. Now, it's very clear that he is still grieving, and this is a difficult topic for him. And he doesn't have to come out and tell you all the details of why these birds are so special to him. It may be that it's just really, really hard thing to talk about. It may be that he has a hard time being emotional around you. For whatever reason, these birds are important. And I think you need to accept that. Maybe encourage him to talk to a therapist if you think that, the grief in general is a bit much for him. But you really need to stop focusing so much on the birds and making this your perfect home.
I think that OP is extraordinarily magnanimous for saying that she's willing to let him keep a few of these bird sculptures. It's so generous of OP to be like, he can have a couple of his dad's bird statues. I wish all partners treated their partners this way.
Like, this is his home. Like, OP is lucky that he invited her to stay with him, and she's acting like this is her house now and she rules the roost and she gets to dictate everything that goes on.
Now, I do think that it's important that partners have mutual spaces that they both can decorate the way that they want.
Yes.
And it seems like he's willing to decorate certain things in this house, right? But the fact of the matter is that he, for some reason, has an attachment to these bird statues. That, like, there's probably some hobby. This is probably something that his dad did. And instead of, like, getting to the bottom of it and asking him and having, like, intellectual curiosity about the birds, what does she do? She just starts hiding them and is like, oh yeah, we'll slowly get rid of them. And then be like, look, you didn't notice any of them were gone. So clearly it's not important to you.
Which is such a ridiculous thing, because, like, I have things in, that I use even on a regular basis, but not on a daily basis. And if they were to go out of my sight for a week, like, it seems like she's been doing this over a very short span of time, it would take me, a few days until I needed them again to notice. I have things that I like, that I value, that I don't use, that I all the time, like, books I've read already. And it would probably take me, a little while to notice that they're not there just because it's not something I'm using on a daily basis. And that doesn't mean it's not valuable and I shouldn't have it.
Note to self. Start taking Amber's books one at a
Yeah,
time.
please don't do that. I will notice eventually, and then I'll be very sad.
I think that OP is right to want some level of decoration or something, some feeling of it being her own home.
Mhm.
I think OP is wrong for basically the attitude of like, oh, he can keep some of these precious heirlooms, right?
Right. Well, and also, like, presumably she knew about the ducks before she moved in. Why didn't she broach this issue, like, if it was such a big issue before moving in with him?
And I mean, like, there are a lot of things that OP could have done here differently that they didn't. They chose not to do. I mean, again, I think the biggest thing is that they're gonna have to actually sit down if they're not broken up now,
Yeah.
right? They're gonna have to sit down and actually have a heart to heart and have a discussion about these things, and maybe even consider going into couples therapy because clearly she doesn't have the ability to communicate maturely right now. So.
Right. Well, the way she talks about making it our home, but
Mhm.
then, like, wants to take away something that's clearly very important to him.
Yeah, she wants to make it her home.
Exactly.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Cali Girl SB says, you're the jerk. It's his house, and if he wants to have ducks everywhere because it reminds him of his dad, then it's his house, so leave them alone. If he kicks you out, he's right to do so. But, on the other hand, if you want a future with him, you need to sit down with him and not be underhanded and sneaky about this. Apologize and say that you were wrong, because you were, and just say, explain to me about the birds. Listen respectfully, and if it's a deal breaker for you, find somewhere else to live because this is important to him. And overall Donut 3646 says, I would be very wary if I were him. Dating for only 8 months, he just alleviated her from paying rent, and she's already trying to mess with his stuff. And Thieving Rock says, that was my first thought too. They haven't even been dating for a year, and they've only recently moved in together, and she's comfortable enough to start hiding items that she knows were important to him. I have food that I bought before the relationship started that hasn't hit its best before date yet, and she's boxing up his sentimental items so that she can redecorate. This isn't even a red flag, it's a full-on stop sign. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for ordering food that my boyfriend is allergic to and ruining our road trip? I'm a 24-year-old female and my boyfriend is a 26-year-old male. And we are on a road trip right now, and things have gone completely wrong. I feel awful, but I also am really confused about whether I'm actually to blame. Earlier today, after hours of driving, we stopped at a McDonald's for dinner. My boyfriend was really irritable. He gets that way when he's tired, and he didn't want to look at the menu. He just sighed and said, "Can you handle this, please?" Give me something normal. I didn't want to make things worse, so I quickly ordered him a crispy chicken sandwich meal, figuring that it was a safe choice. We ate in the car on our way to hotel. About halfway through a sandwich, he suddenly asks, did this bun have sesame seeds on it? I hadn't even thought about that, but sure enough, the bun did. He got really upset and said that he's allergic to sesame seeds, something I had no idea about because he's never once mentioned it in the year that we've been dating. He said that he felt his throat getting itchy, but took an antihistamine, so he's fine now. I apologized repeatedly and offered to stop somewhere to get him a different food, but he just stared out the window and ignored me for the rest of the drive to the hotel. The silence was unbearable, and I kept feeling worse and worse. When we got to the hotel, he barely spoke to me. Then he said that he needed some air and he left the room. That was over 3 hours ago, and he's still not back. I've called him multiple times, but he's not picking up, and now I'm sitting here spiraling. I get that I made a mistake, but how was I supposed to know about his allergy that he never told me about? He made me order for him and didn't give me any instructions, so it seems unfair to put the blame on me. At the same time, I can't shake the feeling that I should have been more careful and checked the bun or asked him about his allergies just to be safe. Am I the jerk here, or is he overreacting by disappearing for hours and not answering my calls? I'm honestly freaking out right now because I don't know what to think. All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, I don't think this is a healthy relationship right here. If he has an allergy that serious, he needed to communicate that to OP and to pick his own food. It seems like he was setting her up for failure. They go to, McDonald's where like almost anything on a bun has a sesame seed.
Yeah.
And then he's like, eats half the food without noticing there are sesame seeds. And then is like, wait, there's sesame seeds on here?
Yeah, I mean, I really have a hard time believing that somebody who's allergic to sesame seeds
Mm-hmm.
and is cognizant of it is going to take a sandwich covered in seeds and just start eating at it, right? And
Right.
not be like, "Oh, we have to actually go back to the restaurant now and get a different one because this has sesame seeds on it." I mean, I would be pretty on the lookout if I were me for
Mm-hmm.
foods that I was allergic to if I had food allergies,
And they're
right?
so conspicuous
Yeah,
too. Like,
they're not hidden in there.
mm-hmm.
It's not like she flipped the bun over and was like, "You have a sandwich here that has no sesame seeds on it." But I agree with your assessment. I think that this was an extremely unhealthy relationship. I think that it would be best if OP probably reconsidered their options here.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem like a good partner, and I know that sometimes we all can get into bad moods, but you should try your best not to take that out on the people around you.
Yeah, well, and then the way he's not taking accountability or explaining anything, he just is upset with OP for ordering something that she had no idea he was allergic to. And then, like, just disappearing without a word for 3 hours. Like, none of this, he does not have a healthy communication style at all.
Mm-hmm.
It does not seem like a good relationship.
No. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Light Photographer says, stop right there. You made no mistake. You cannot know that someone is allergic to sesame. That person has to tell you. That person has an obligation to check for himself. If your boyfriend is allergic to sesame, he knows McDonald's is not safe for him. Because of point 3, I wonder if this is for real. An allergic person would not say, "Oh yeah, order anything, whatever, everything is fine," and then proceed to eat the bun.
Well, and that's a good point. Like, if you don't have food allergies, like I'm a vegetarian, and so like I am cautious of what I order. I make sure to read ingredients, and I wouldn't just tell someone to randomly order something for me.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's that serious, then you would think he would have a similar response of like, I'm gonna make sure nothing in here is gonna be dangerous for me.
And OP replies, "Thank you. I've been thinking about that too. It's weird that this never came up before, especially since he let me order without saying anything. If he knows that he has an allergy, why wouldn't he mention it? Especially when we're at McDonald's. It's kind of making me question why he didn't say something earlier." Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, "Am I a jerk for shouting at my husband when he came into the room during a timed test?" About 3 months ago, I was laid off from my job in the tech industry. It was unexpected and a big hit for me mentally, as I enjoyed working and feeling like I was good at my job and contributing. I've been working through a resulting identity crisis with my therapist, but I absolutely hate being at home and not having a routine, so I've been applying far and wide. I've had a couple of interviews, but none have led me to an offer yet. Well, last week I was invited to complete a timed written test for a company that I would love to work for. They informed me in advance that the timed test would last an hour and told me the time and date that they would send it out to me. I am someone who gets extremely nervous during interviews and these kinds of things, and I spent a lot of time preparing. But I also told my husband that I will need to not be disturbed during the test at all. I asked him to please not walk into the room during the duration of the test at all and not to bother me in any way because I know how stressed I get and how I need maximum focus. And he reassured me that he understood. Well, fast forward to the test yesterday. I was taking it in our second bedroom/office with the door closed. With about 15 minutes ago, the nerves and the stress started to set in, and I was frantic trying to finish the test and leave myself time to proofread. That's when my husband walked into the room and said, "Sorry, ignore me, ignore me." Right away, I said, "Please get out." And he said, "Ignore me, I just need to grab something really quickly." And he starts digging through the drawer of the desk that I was sitting at. That's when I lost my temper and I yelled, "I can't ignore you. I need you to not be standing over me right now. Get out." And he left and made a point of slamming the door. Afterwards, I came out to apologize to him and explain that I was just really stressed out and that I had asked him repeatedly to stay out of the second bedroom for 1 hour. And he said that he doesn't understand why it's such a big deal and that I massively overreacted by snapping. And I hurt his feelings. It's been over 24 hours and he's still mad at me. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
I don't think OP is in the wrong. Now, to note what he was getting, this is not something life emergency situation. It was headphones. And he also is unemployed, so this was not headphones to like talk to his job or anything like that. So I just wanted to add some context. Yeah, I mean, yelling at people is generally not a good thing. But it does feel very, very inconsiderate that he would bust in while OP is taking a timed test to get some headphones that he couldn't have prepared to get beforehand.
Yeah.
He knew this bedroom was going to be off limits for an hour. There were 15 minutes to go. He could not wait those last 15 minutes to get his headphones.
Yeah, I mean, that's the problem I have here, right? I mean, he couldn't wait 15 minutes, right? And he couldn't wait an hour. I mean, you don't need headphones. You don't need, that kind of thing if you have, for a whole hour. If you haven't gotten it out before the test started, then you needed to not actually go into the bedroom, right? I think that he was an extremely inconsiderate individual here. He should be the one apologizing to OP. He made things worse by standing over her, trying to shuffle through a drawer while she's trying to finish up a test. And that's really not great, right? I mean, these tech interviews can be really intense. And I don't know that he understands that. And I don't think that he understands that every minute counts in this kind of test.
Yeah, well, he doesn't seem to appreciate the significance at all. And it just seems like he has, in general, a lack of regard for her and like her needs, because some people need like absolute like quiet focus when they are doing these kind of high stress tests. And the fact that he's not willing to afford her that, like shuffling around in the desk she's trying to work at, is, a very, very distracting thing. Like, how do you pretend someone's not there when they're like right up in your space?
Mm-hmm.
So.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And DowJess555 says, why did you apologize at all? How are you not recognizing that he tried to sabotage you at the drawer that you were sitting at? Is he supportive of your career? Do you make more money than him? Have you had any disagreements on whether you should be taking on more domestic duties? Have you had conversations about children? He knew exactly what he was doing, and frankly, you underreacted. Why is his hurt feelings a whole thing when he's the one who messed you up? And OP replies, he hasn't been working in the past year. He trades crypto, and he did make a lot of money off of it this year, but I'm the one who had a more stable income until I was laid off. And Dr. Teeth, PhD, says, info. What was the thing that he needed so urgently? Edit to add, not the jerk. At best, he was insensitive and selfish, trying to act like he wasn't a huge distraction and a huge disappointment for not being able to stay out of a room for 60 minutes. At worst, he was intentionally trying to sabotage you. And OP replies, his headphones. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Ben.
Ben who?
Been knocking for 20 minutes.
I've been her, and I'm in an arena racing right now, so sorry, you'll have to come back later. And I have licorice spice. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it on inconsiderate partners.
Your partner is supposed to be on your team. Treat them as you would like to be treated.
Kind of a golden rule right there. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.
Howdy folks, I'm Edgy Eggnog. I wanted to say egrets both times.